Gavin, good morning.
Morning, Mark. Morning, everyone.
Morning, Gavin.
Nice
Gavin,
to meet you all.
We're pretty much able to go straight away. There's a couple that are joining late because they've got other things in it, and we're trying to get all the one or two we think may have slipped their minds. Yeah, we're ready to go straight away. I'm very conscious that you're with us for half an hour and then need to scoot. So
yeah, well, on that there was a slight change of plan. I wasn't actually needed down at HQ this morning, so I'm actually in my accommodation at the moment. So I'm a bit more relaxed about time. So okay. Thank you for that. So Craige, you'll be co-hosting this with me, will you?
Can do, mate. Yeah. I'll just try and stitch you up wherever possible. I'll probably say the wrong thing at the appropriate moments. Okay.
Sounds good.
Gavin,
just a quick. Yes.
What I've suggested to everyone's going to stay on mute, but if they've got a question, they'll use the little hand symbol to go. Otherwise, we'll just try and keep them to the end.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Well, as you can all see, I'm still celebrating St. Patrick's Day. I wasn't able to yesterday, so you're getting it today, unfortunately. Am I able to share my screen, Mark?
You should be able to. G, are we free for screen sharing?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Can everyone see that okay?
Yeah.
Great, thanks for that. So thank you very much for the invite, everybody. Let me just see if I can get as many faces on the screen as possible. It's always nice to talk to people rather than just a screen. Yeah, thank you very much for the invite. The GCMA, we do have a little bit of history with On-Course Foundation, so we're great admirers of everything that Mark does, and hopefully in the future we'll continue that relationship and build upon that. So who are we? The GCMA had its beginnings back in 1933. A group of golf club managers, at that time they were known as secretaries, got together and said, well, we've got a lot in common, and let's join together, share ideas, and they formed an association of golf club secretaries. That's just basically grown organically through the years as golf grew, as there were more golf courses, more and more secretaries joined the group. In 2007, we reached a membership of around about 2,200, which is the largest at the moment. At the moment, we're roughly around about 1,500. So our highest point was about 2007. But significantly, we changed the name of the association then to the Golf Club Managers Association. And basically that's just to reflect the professionalism of the role. What do? We represent our members. Our members need representation in the industry, in the golf industry. We like to think that we've got a seat at the top table. We're a member of the All-Party Parliamentary Golf Group, which has been very instrumental in getting golf back as one of the first sports back in May of last year, and again this year, although not with quite so much success, but I think that was different situations. So we're part of that. We talk regularly with the other associations, the Greenkeepers Association, BIGA, the Professional Golfers Association, RNA, and then the home unions, England Golf, Scottish Golf, Wales Golf, and Golf Ireland. A big part of what we do is support our members. It's the role of golf club manager can be quite lonely, and so there's only one role like it in each golf club. And that's really the foundation of our association is that that sort of common interest, common goal of you're the only person in that role. You're the head of the team of staff, and so they're perhaps biting at your ankles a little bit, and then you're also responding to a committee or board who have certain expectations of you. So So that communication between club managers is absolutely critical to what we do. Ourselves at HQ, we support that and hope to grow that as much as possible. And the education side, which is really why we're here today, just to talk a little bit about what we do as regards professional and personal development of our members. Why do we do it? Because we love it. We love golf, and we're all golfers. Most of us, I'd say 99% of Golf Club Managers Association are golfers, and some better than others. But I think that's just a commonality that we have. I think you guys have that as well. So I think there's a lot we have in common there. So our education program is based around 10 core proficiencies. Why do we call them proficiencies? In other areas, they call them competencies. I always felt I'd rather be proficient at something than competent at something. Competent, it's almost mediocre, but proficient is highly skilled at something. So that's really where that word comes from. And as I mentioned, the personal and professional development. So these are the 10 core proficiencies. I will go through them one by one. So I won't spend too much time on this one. I'll just get straight into it. Well-being and golf in the community. So really it's two subjects in one, but there's certainly a link between those. We started getting involved in well-being probably around about 2 years ago. And it fits absolutely with our ethos of supporting our members in that role, and particularly through the pandemic. Golf club staff normally consisted of around about an average of 3 maintenance staff, greenkeepers, and the general manager, and that was it. So going through that, by yourself takes its toll on someone, and with all the responsibilities, not being able to meet anybody personally or in person, it's been a difficult time for a lot of club managers. And what we've really tried to do is to keep them informed, up to date with accurate information, what's coming out from the government and the other golf associations, just as they feel that they're on top of things and not susceptible to certain other thoughts and that might come into their heads being in that lonely environment. So there's we do within our training courses, well-being is it's front and center. We have a variety of different presenters who are qualified to present and talk about well-being. I'm certainly not, but I certainly recognize the importance of it going forward. Social responsibility. Golf clubs need to be socially responsible. They need to recognize their impact on the environment. There's a massive issue at the moment around water, and it looks like any golf club which is reliant on mains water is going to be in pretty serious trouble in the coming years. So we're very much getting the message out to our members that they need to plan, to source their water responsibly. Social responsibility means a lot of things within companies, but it's ever more relevant. There's a company called Geo who do they have a qualification, a certification for golf courses based on their impact upon the environment. We also partner with green energy companies such as Brook Green. So it's so social responsibility, another important part of that. Junior golf development, obviously the future of the game. Sustainability wrapped up in that social responsibility, but also it's the financial sustainability of golf clubs going forward. Golf and the aging population, that's a fact of life that we live in a society where it's getting older. I've heard within a different presentation, somebody talking about the first 100-year-old employee. Should we be getting ready for that? So really, it's integrating all different types of, or all different communities that are out there within the golf community. We've got some fabulous facilities in golf, green spaces, manicured, beautiful areas to be. Which golf originally was at the center of a community. That was what it was. That's why so many golf courses were built. They were amenities for residential areas. We've perhaps got away from that a little bit with it becoming so much of a business. But I think certainly ourselves, we would like to see golf get more back to those roots of being at the center of the community, opening the doors, welcoming different groups in so as they can enjoy those facilities. And we saw a little bit of that over the pandemic. People used to take their dogs out for walks on the golf courses and enjoy it that way. There were some instances where they went a little bit too far with their quads and the greens, but everything in moderation. So that's our well-being section. Like Craig may have seen this video, so apology, Craig, if this bores you. I'm going to try and play this. Haven't done it for a while, so this could go horribly wrong. Let's see if that takes us. Well, do you know what? I'm going to stop that. Can anybody hear that?
Can't hear it, mate.
Yeah, I knew I hadn't done that right. So I need to go. I'm going to cancel that video. I'm going to save you that, because I didn't do the share screen. Let me see if I can try again. Just come out of screen share, go back in. One last try. If it doesn't work this time, we won't worry about it. It's about a 10-minute video. Hear that?
I was trained for one submarine. My guys were trained to do what they were told. That's a deadly combination. We all know organizations where people just follow the leader into disastrous situations. So I got my guys together and I said, hey, we got a problem here. I was trained for another submarine. You're trained to do whatever nonsense comes out of my mouth. That's right, Captain. I mean, they knew. They already knew. I was pretty much talking to myself. So I said, what are we going to do? What are we going to do, guys? And we talked about it. Okay, what I really wanted to do was get ready for the inspection. But we were sitting in the wardroom. We spent a couple hours. We were talking about it. And we came up with all these different things. And, well, you Captain, you just got to be smarter. You got to give better orders. It's like, well, how am I going to learn a whole nuclear submarine, miles of valves and pipes? I spent a year learning Olympia, 2 weeks over here. So in a year, we'll be safe? That's not going to work. We had to deploy the submarine in 6 months. So we talked about it, and they said, okay, there's only one logical solution. We figured it out. You, they're pointing at me, you shut up. What do you mean? That's not what captains do. That's not what captains of nuclear submarines do. They walk around, they give orders. They sound like Russell Crowe. Head 2/3, dive, make it up 500 feet. Helm left 15 degrees rudder, steady course 255. Load torpedoes and tubes 1, 2, 3, and 4. Flood down, open outer doors, right? And I thought about it. And you know what? They were right. So at that point, I vowed never to give another order. And if you came down on my submarine, it'd have been very confusing because you couldn't have pointed. It'd have been hard to say, well, who's the captain here? Because you wouldn't have seen me giving orders. I did retain one order. The final order to launch a weapon, a torpedo or a missile, I I kept with me because I felt that since that was going to result in the deaths of other human beings, that I didn't want that on anyone's conscience but mine. That was my moral and ethical responsibility. But even though everything else in the Navy, there's long lists of things that says the captain has to authorize. Captain should authorize. You got a couple nukes in your group, they'll tell you it's true. Captain authorize, submerge the ship, get underway, start up the reactor, shut down the reactor, connect to shore power, divorce from shore power, on and on, break rig for dive, on and on and on, pages of these things. I just refused to give those orders. What we replaced it with was intent. Instead of giving instructions, if you want your people to think, don't give instructions, give intent. So they would come to you, hey, what do you want me to do? Well, left full rudder, steady course 255. No. I say, well, what are we trying to accomplish here today? Well, we're trying to get in position so that when the enemy submarine comes through, okay, so where do you think we should position the ship? Maybe over here. Good idea, go there. You give intent to them and they give intent to you. So my officer stopped requesting permission. And every other submarine, Captain, request permission to submerge the ship. Submerge the ship. Submerge the ship, aye. On Santa Fe, Captain, I intend to submerge the ship. Very well. And they did it. And it might seem like it's a very small, nuanced change of language, but it was hugely powerful because the psychological ownership now shifts to them. They need to discover the answer. Otherwise, you're always the answer man. You can never go home and eat dinner. And so we started doing this. And it was hugely powerful. Actually, we went another step. Then I got smarter and I said, when the officer said, Captain, I intend to submerge the ship, I would ask him, well, what do you think I'm thinking right now? And he'd look at me, hard to tell. I'm guessing you're wondering whether it's safe. Bingo! I said, well, convince me it's safe. He said, Captain, I intend to submerge the ship. All men are below, hatches are shut, ship's rigged for dive. I checked the bottom depth. The submarine's in the water that's been assigned to us. Then later I would ask them, is it the right thing to do? And they would say, well, yes, sir, because our mission requires that we... And these are the two pillars that I think support this idea of giving control. These are the two pillars that need to be in place. The technical competence, which is represented by, is it safe? And the organizational clarity, which is represented by, is it the right thing to do? And you put those things in place, and then you can give control. And you give control, and you put those things in place. And you are off to the races. So think about what's happening now. My officers are starting to think like me, because I have to think like, where should we do the ship? And so the guys below them. Now this took 24 hours to happen. It took a couple years for the full implementation, but immediately there was change. The officers started thinking like me, and so pretty soon I could go in the engine room, find the engine room lower level watch who was taking logs in the lube oil pumps, and he would know what the submarine was doing. He would know whether we were up tight, close to the enemy, and it was time to stay quiet, or whether we had backed out a little bit, and this may be a good time to change filters and make a little bit of noise. A year later, we received another inspection. A year later, we received an inspection. The inspecting team gave us the highest grade they had ever seen. Not that year, not in the Pacific, ever seen. Why? I mean, this crew had a captain who was a dummy. It's because that needle started moving up. And on another submarine, there was one guy in charge, one guy giving orders, one guy thinking, and 134 people doing what they're told. I don't care how smart you are. On my submarine, I got 135 thinking, active, passionate, creative, proactive, taking initiative people. It's a tidal wave. You don't stand a chance. Here's the solution. Move the authority to where the information is. You mean the software engineer can decide whether we ship the software? Yeah. You mean the client, my salesman can close the deal? Well, up to $1,000. No. Yes. Whatever the price? Yes. What does it take to make that happen? Now, if you're picturing a lot of people out there doing crazy things and a bunch of arrows going in a bunch of different directions, you have the wrong picture. You create the environment so that those people are out there making decisions as if the CEO were standing right behind them. And if it's not the same decision, it's actually a better decision because they have the information. And not only will you get better speed of execution because now you don't have this delay, what happens is those people feel like they matter because they're thinking. You engender thinking. You create the environment for thinking. The secret is nothing I said is hard. There's nothing hard. The only thing that's hard is you. It will feel wrong. You've been genetically and culturally programmed to take charge and make it happen. Take control and attract followers. And what you want is to give control and create leaders. It will feel wrong, and you will repeatedly start down this path if you so choose, and then you'll be angry at yourself like I was. And you will have a failure, and you'll go back to the old ways. You will pick yourself up, and you will go again, and you will go again. And by doing so, you will achieve the greatest thing possible. You will have achieved greatness, not because of the deeds and acts that you did, but because you set an environment where the people around you and their families and their schools and their organizations and their businesses, they've achieved greatness. That will be the greatest thing of all. Go forth and be great.
Okay, apologies for the little bit of a clunky move. You couldn't see the first few minutes, is that correct? Yeah, okay. So that's really to do with leadership, and that's an awful lot of what we do. That's another one of our modules, and it's just an example of the sort of thing that we're trying to do for golf club managers, and to get them to think that it's not really so much about them, it's about the people who are around them and the people who work with them and for them. So, and getting the most out of those people by empowering them. We do an awful lot of different types of courses on leadership within the program. So on to the next one. Hospitality, food and beverage, important part of any golf club. Lots of different issues around that, and you know, it's obviously it's a support task that we have to do in golf clubs. The golf course is obviously the most important, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But having a good food and beverage service is very important, and a lot of golf clubs get into weddings, and they have baptisms, etc. at their clubs as well as an extra source of income. So understanding how that works. Event management as well helps with golf competitions, with running tournaments. So that's in there as well. Next one, golf club legislation and compliance. As the club manager, you're very much in charge of keeping the club safe, keeping it legal, and making sure that none of those big punishments come your way from HMRC or from or if you get in trouble with employment law, safeguarding, fire and risk assessments, licensing, etc., etc. We also membership management, so that's really just making sure that you have the right number of members in your club. Fortunately, with the pandemic, we've seen a bit of a boom in golf, and so a lot of clubs now have waiting lists where they haven't had waiting lists before, knowing how to manage that waiting list. But it's really about membership acquisition, being able to get members whenever you need them, and then once you get them, membership retention. So we've done an awful lot of work recently on membership retention because of the current situation. Member surveys, always very important to know what your members want. So it's really just anything and everything, just looking after members. The accounting and finance of the golf club normally rests with the club manager. You may have a finance director on the board. You may have a finance, or you may have accountants who do your end of year accounts, but you certainly will need to know how to do all the following: the cash flow forecast, budgets, profit and loss account, balance sheet. Those are the main ones there. Different golf business models and how they're governed is another one of our modules. Traditional private members club make up the majority of what we see in the industry, private and semi-private members clubs. There's a big boom in proprietary clubs in the 90s, and so that roughly makes up about 20%. Country clubs and resorts, slightly different, more commercial outlook on golf. And there's new and developing golf business models such as Top Golf, Adventure Golf, Foot Golf. You may have seen it. Shorter forms of the game using more technology, and we definitely need to embrace that. That's a major area of growth. Doesn't mean that we stop doing all the other stuff, but it's certainly something that we need to be aware of. Golf operations, probably the one that everyone's most familiar with. Driving range, buggies, on-course services, beverage carts, tee sheets, golf retail, all involved in there. That's all the sort of normal stuff you find around the golf course. So we do all of that as well. Course and estate management. Obviously, the golf course is your largest asset. So most of the major cost items come from there. So you need to know, what your golf course looks like, what it's built on to begin with, what sort of soil type you have, because that will influence greatly what sort of maintenance you can provide. So really understanding your golf course from the ground up, from the design, who designed it, what are its strengths and weaknesses, and really working with the course manager, with your greenkeeper. It's an absolute key relationship. I would imagine that it should be on a daily basis that you're in sort of conversation. And finally, technology and innovation. It's all the way through golf. We now have greens mowers that can go out by themselves in the middle of the night and by GPS, find their way to the green, cut the green, and then store themselves. And you arrive at work at 6 o'clock in the morning and the greens are already cut. So that's sort of where technology is going, and what's available within the club itself. You have the club is operated by systems which you've got your point of sale, and so you've got all your stock taking almost done for you. You've got your tee sheet, which is now pretty much online. A lot of golf courses had to change to that through the pandemic for safety reasons. So, which is a massive benefit to a lot of golf clubs. They'll be able to staff their clubhouse a lot more efficiently when they know who's playing when and how often. So that's the tee sheet management side is very important. So that's really what we do. That's the 10 core proficiencies that we base our education on. But with the GCMA, we have options, and Craig has he's undertaken a couple of these different options. We have the formal academic education. We have Golf Club Management Diploma, which is level 5, basically foundation degree. This is off-qual regulated, so it's on the curriculum. The awarding body is ASQ, stands for Associated Sports Qualifications. We are the lead body on that. So the curriculum, if you like, is we oversee that. I think they have 9 modules on that. Craig can maybe correct me if I'm wrong. So slightly different setup to our own in-house qualifications, but still, it really is the leading qualification in golf at the moment, and hopefully it will continue to grow as we continue to work with our partners at the PGA and BIGA. And as a part of that course, you become a member of the GCMA. It's not automatic, as Craig will tell you. There's a fee involved in that, but it is important at that point that you join us and get access to our resources to help you to complete that course. Principles of Golf Club Management, which is part of the GCMA certificate. That's something that Craig has done also. Beginning with a 5-day training course, online or residential. Craig did the online course. It has the 10 modules based around those 10 core proficiencies that were mentioned. Skillgate is a online e-learning platform which is available to all GCMA members. Has roughly 1,000 courses, so it's really just you dip into that and do a course. Could be a 30-minute tutorial, or you could go right ahead and do a certificate which takes 5 or 6 hours. So there's lots of different options there. It covers a lot of the topics that we cover in the program are covered in the Skillgate, but it's also really for CPD, for continuous professional development. And all of our members get access to that free of charge, and they're constantly learning about themselves and different technical skills to be able to do the job better. So at the end of that, the 5-day training course, once you've done that and the 10 modules, you'll sit a multiple choice exam, which will hopefully give you your GCMA certificate. And again, that also means that you need to become a member of the GCMA to get that certificate. And then beyond that, we have Golf Club Management Advanced 360. So that will be our own diploma. And just give you an idea of what sort of time is involved in that. You have the certificate is roughly 100 hours of education, and the diploma is roughly 300 hours of education. And so they're not easy. We don't give them away, but certainly it's something that's earned and respected in the industry. As the Golf Club Managers Association, we are the sort of at the forefront of club management, and sort of the most recognized association for that. So our qualifications that come out of that are industry recognized and respected. So that's really everything I've got on what we do. I'll stop sharing my screen there, and I'm absolutely available to answer any questions on that.
Gav, is it worth talking about the vocational side of the diploma?
On the what, sorry?
On the diploma and in the workbooks, we've got the black and white areas, which are definitions and the likes, and then there's also the vocational side where access to golf clubs is important.
Yes, yeah. It's it's got that practical element to it, doesn't it? Where it's part of the induction process to the course. We do require that you have access to a golf club, and whether you're either working in that golf club or you have an agreement with the board or the club manager to be able to get access to certain information that will be needed and will really help you to understand the rules. I think was I able to help you out with that, Craig? That's still ongoing, is it? So
yeah,
maybe
and also OCF did as well. I think Long Ashton and Gaudi Luce are the two that I'm going to use. Obviously, the lockdowns meant that I've just been stuck doing the educational stuff for now. But what I had to do was I had to assure GCMA that I had access to at least one golf club. It happens I've got access to a couple. I know Mark and Gavin both helped me get in touch with a couple of pros, because I'm coming from business world, not golf world. Business general, sorry, not golf specific. So I've got access to 2 courses to do a whole load of basically proof of doing things that are part of the diploma. They're absolutely key to passing the diploma successfully. I think it's just something to point out that it's really important. So like Dell working at Barnum Broom, he's already in a perfect place to crack on and do things, whereas some of us who are not actually employed in a golf course and have to find that. My golf course at Tewkesbury, for example, didn't want me having access to their internal information as a non-employee. So it's something that you need to do or need to think about prior to applying for courses.
Yeah. We had a question there from David, I think, on the fees, course fees. My understanding, Craig, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is the level 5 diploma is £1,995. Then there are workshops which are available for each of the modules. So I think there's 9 of those workshops. And if you take those as a package, I think you get them for around about £450. Is that?
That's exactly right, Gav.
Okay. Now the workshops are worthwhile. There's no question about it. They do help your understanding. So so you sort of look around about 2,445 as a total for the diploma. So that's a 3-year registration. So you have that. But sorry, there was one additional cost on that, and that's the associate membership of the GCMA. Which I think, Craig, that's cost you £150.
175, I think it was, Gavin. Yeah.
175.
I think so. Yeah, because I had because I lived in the southwest, it's more expensive.
Did you take up regional membership or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was an extra £25 or something for
an extra £25. Yeah. Okay. Well, good for you, because that's very valuable. That regional membership, because you get involved in what's going on in the region. So
yeah.
So there is that additional cost, but it does get you involved in the community and the network of the club managers, and there's an awful lot of knowledge and information sharing that goes a lot on there that can really help you with the course. So that would be the level 5 diploma. The principles course, which Craig did online, is 595. That's a 5-day online course. If that goes residential, which we hope to do one later on this year, possibly in the autumn, that would be 1,195. Difference in price is purely the hotel and your food and beverage. Well, just the food. We're not paying your drinks. So that's the principles course. I think and then in order to get your certificate with the GCMA, and you do the 10 modules, the total cost of that is roughly around £2,000. So it's not qualified, if you like, or regulated, but it's still recognised as an industry specific qualification. So that's sort of the fees. That's what it would cost you to do this. Any other questions? Or was that okay for you, David? Is that everything you need?
Hi, Gavin. Just a quick question. Yeah. Do you have to do the Principles of Golf Management course, or can you go straight to diploma, or are there steps you have to take?
It's recommended, Del, to do the Principles course, because it's the main reason for the Principles course is to give somebody an overview of what the role is all about. I've just gone through that in this interview, this presentation. It's really about what we do. So on that Principles course, you'll receive presentations, on those 10 core proficiencies. So you'll get 1 or 2 presentations on each. So that gives you an idea of what the scope of the role is before you then invest in the diploma, and that would be sort of the level 5 diploma that Craig does. If you decide to do the GCMA diploma, I understand this can be a bit confusing, or in-house diploma, if you like, then that Principles course counts towards your diploma. Yeah. So it is necessary to do that for our own individually run diploma.
Perfect. Thank you, mate.
Gavin, quick one.
Yes, Steve.
This is just for everyone's aware that I've done the Principles course. I did it at Harrogate, actually in-house, to 2019. and I actually did it as part of my resettlement. So I'm not sure if I used enhanced learning credit or my resettlement funding, but it is accepted down that route if you've still got any of the enhanced learning credits remaining. It's worth looking into. And just going back to the diploma, the level 5 diploma, what sort of timeline are you looking at to complete that? In line with, obviously, you've got the workshops that are spread out over 1 year, 2 years, or?
It's a 3-year registration, Steve. Did we do that course together in Harrogate?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I did the principals course in Harrogate as well. I'm pretty sure it was 2019.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, we'll catch up on that later. So it's a 3-year registration. And most people do need the 3 years, to be honest, Steve. It's not easy. And we have the majority of people. Well, not the majority, I think that's unfair to say, but a lot of people have asked for extensions to go beyond 3 years. The quickest that somebody has finished that diploma is 14 months. So that was somebody who was dedicating 20, 30 hours a week to it. Yeah. The issue there, Steve, I think, is that a lot of people are doing this while they're in full-time employment. The role of a golf club manager, it's, as you can see, it's quite a big role, a lot to it. And they normally work 50, 60 hours a week. So to try and do a diploma on top of that, it's not easy, and it is quite academic as well. So it does require concentration and thought, and really getting into the subject, which isn't easy these days because there are a lot of distractions around. So there's that is an issue. It is a commitment. There's no question about it.
I think just leading on from Dale's point there about is it mandatory to do the principals course as well? I think there are two things about that, Dale. Certainly, with you sitting in a golf club, the people that were on that principals course, Gav, they got a lot of good ideas. Most of them were employed in golf clubs already. And I defy anyone that was on that course not to say, we could do that here, and at least give you ideas to take away already. And the other thing, now I've gone into the diploma, what I've found that there's a level of familiarity both with the delegates that are on there, because I met a lot of them on the diploma, even though it's online, but also the subject matter already. I'm aware of how it's going to be presented and the content and the likes. And it's quite clear the difference in standard that's required. Where the principles, you're kind of getting talked at for a week. The diploma is not like that. Like any higher level qualification, you have to do a lot of your own research and work. And being able to recognise that has come from doing the principles first and then leading on to the diploma as well.
Perfect.
What I found useful, because I did the principles course when I was interested in managing a golf course, was the qualification gave you the warts and all on how difficult it is to manage a club, but also it gave you a syndicate of people that you could chat to offline once you became a member. There was a really vibrant WhatsApp group where you could say, I'm doing this, what do you think? And there's so many good ideas. It was almost like a mini LinkedIn GCMA. I think that's quite an important asset that GCMA brings to you. You are, whilst you're sat in a club, there's 1,000 clubs around you that are doing different stuff that you can dip into because they're all mates from the course, or when you speak the same language. I think that's definitely a hidden benefit. I've got one question that I'm coming close to, maybe med discharge or whatever, but now I think I can use my normal resettlement money, 524 quid, as a contribution towards it, but I can't use LCAS money, which is my enhanced £7,500. I don't know how GCMA and all the defence work together to get that accredited or not. So LCAS recognition, from what I've just been, you showed in the presentation, Gavin, you've got, is it Ofcom or
Ofqual?
Off-qual accreditation. We probably need to link in with Mark or me or our resettlement area here to get that as part of an accredited course that you can span over 3 years using that 7,500 quid. I don't know how many people have used that, but I don't think many. So the question is, how can we tag team to make that, get the diploma and the 360 course accredited?
Yeah, two parts to that question, John. So yeah, you're absolutely right. The community that we have at the GCMA, that's our greatest strength, and all that information sharing. It's that's invaluable on a day-to-day basis. Being able to reach out to other club managers, how are they doing it in their club, and you find out, you normally find out an answer or solution that way. The second part to your question, I'm not sure on that. I'll defer to Mark and Craig. Maybe they might be able to help with that. I certainly know that Ofqual is, as a regulated qualification, the level 5 diploma. I'm pretty sure that's eligible, isn't it, Craig?
Yeah, so what I seem to remember, and I'm sure it's not changed too much, on resettlement courses where the diploma are above level, if they're accredited, it's not so much of a drama. And the military resettlement people need to come to you, Gav, now at GCMA, and the course gets formally accepted as part of what's available on resettlement, is how I remember it. Because I think I applied for something that got refused because it wasn't formally accredited in the way your diploma is, Gav.
Yeah.
So like your GCMA diploma probably wouldn't get accepted by the resettlement people, whereas the PGA-led one would do.
The certificate's easy. I think the diploma and the 360 course could be more difficult because that aligns itself with higher education.
Yeah, I think the issue is you've got two strands here, and they're both talking off different song sheets. You've got resettlement, who've got their own accredited bodies, and then you've got the education side, the military education side, which is where you get your standard learning and enhanced learning. But they've got a completely different accredited groups. So you've got money available to spend, but you can only spend it if they're accredited in either resettlement or education. And I think that's the issue, John, that they're not aligned together so that you can use whatever money you want to do whatever course. I think that's the issue.
I think let's tag team after this, Gavin, or Mark Scorer, because you can step through the accreditation system to get it online, but someone's got to do that. Yeah. Someone's got to champion that says, I want to go and do golf course management diploma level and run all the golf courses in North England. Resettlement, then your regional resettlement unit say, okay, that sounds a good idea. Where they're accredited, but I can't do that. That's going to be the provider, which is you guys. Yeah. And they would then come up with other providers that say, well, actually, what about Gcma? What about doing a local government leisure centre qualification that's similar to that and just bolt in food and beverage onto it? And once they get to a point where it's got to be your course, then we can start using that enhanced money, the $7,500 towards it, which you can use after you've retired, 3 years after retirement, or 7 years after retirement, but 3 consecutive years you can claim it. So let's chat after this, see if we can get it accredited.
Yeah, Steve, you're dead right. There's that separation between resettlement and the education, learning stuff, and all the rest of it. I forgot all about that actually. But yeah, I think it has to come from the military side. Would approach GCMA, I suppose, in some kind of project, whereby JC, you'd probably be part of that as well. You could lead. You could approach the LCAS people and settlement people and say, look, this course is accredited properly, why can't it be included? Yeah. And then they'll go and have a look and decide whether it can or cannot. In discussion with GCMA, I think it's kind of the process that would work best.
Yep, I agree.
I think we are, Craig. I think we are on that list. We have gone through that.
Maybe all done. Yeah.
I think you're on the resettlement side rather than you're on the resettlement side, which is. It's pittance. The money you get for resettlement courses is not a lot. Whereas if you was on the education side, using your enhanced learning credits, it would pay for a fair whack of the diploma.
Would do. Yeah.
That's exactly the difference. The 175 quid you get a year for standard learning credits covers a bit of it. You can ask for an enhancement on that from your regional RRU or your education centre. But the guys have just said, it's a $7,500 over 3 years that would fund a big chunk of that diploma in 360 if you put the two modules together. If they run sequentially rather than, there's an air gap between the two. You can say it's 7,000 quid for those two courses, and you give us the module a bit once you've got LCAS accreditation. Let's have a look at that.
There's a registration process, Gavin, with enhanced learning credits scheme that you should be able to apply to. I'm not sure what all the criteria are, but you should be able to apply to that from the GCMA that would then see you become an approved learning provider. But I think, as Steve said, because you've registered on resettlement, that will cover the principals course ideally. But to be the diploma, I think there's probably a pretty good chance you would get it through, to be honest.
Yeah, me.
Not 100%. Just having a quick look on their website at the moment, if you search in golf, what does come up is the University of Birmingham's course that they do with the PGA for the applied studies course, is it? I think it's called.
Yeah. I think it's applied golf management studies. I mean that course is really just
studies, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that course is really just an extension of a PGA professional.
Yeah.
Once you've done. So
I think it's an example of a qualification at that level, because I think that's a foundation level degree as well. So it's an example of probably the right kind of level where the diplomas would move into. So if that's eligible for it, I would expect that GCMA diplomas would be as well.
Yeah, it definitely should be. Absolutely. Yeah.
And there's that degree of separation with it being a vocational diploma as well. Because that's another thing they're big on, both in resettlement and LCAS, I'd imagine.
And I think being able to demonstrate to LCAS as well that this is a qualification that service leavers could do that really does give them enhanced opportunity in a new career post-discharge, again, is another selling point.
And they can start it in the last 3 years of service. It doesn't have to be in the final year or approaching mid-discharge. So it's a guy who knows he's going to come close to a medical discharge, but 2 years out can Okay.
Well, potentially opens up, Gavin, to the GCMA. I think another cohort of service leaver who would look at this.
Oh yeah,
without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely. Good. A couple of questions came through. What would be the education requirements to begin? We don't stipulate anything on that. We're not particularly precious about it. If you're good enough, you can do it. Simple as that, really. Nobody's perfect. There's 10 proficiencies. There's 10 things areas that you need to be good at, and it's just such a wide variety of skills that to try somebody to be brilliant at all of them is never going to happen. So so you just be as good as you can at all. So it's there's nothing really there. Is it a UK-based qualification only, or is it recognised worldwide? That's a good question. We actually we do actually pride ourselves on the fact that it is UK Golf Club specific. That's really our USP, if you like. That's what we do. Having said that, having lived abroad for a number of years myself, anything that is UK qualified is respected worldwide. So I think it is safe to travel with the qualification. I guess there are some other options out there as well if you're looking at that to move abroad.
You've got 4 delegates, European delegates at the moment, Gav. France, Belgium, Cyprus. I think there's one other as well. But anyway, there are European delegates on there.
Is Dirk from Netherlands? Is he Holland?
So he's, I think, was he Belgium or Holland? I thought he was Belgium. Emmanuel, okay, France and Bordeaux. The lady at Aphrodite Hills in Cyprus.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also another one that's based in France, Morgan, I think his name was. So there are 4 European-based delegates on there, albeit one of them is English, but the other 3 are European. So whether it's interesting to say whether you formally recognise it or not, but clearly overseas places do, don't they? So
yeah. Quick question from Doc. How many golf club management posts become vacant annually in the UK? I would estimate around about 150. It's about 3 or 4 a week. That would be sort of there's quite a few. Golf club managers tend to move around a little bit. It's sort of the average tenure of a golf club manager is about 4.5 years. That's how long they can actually put up with the members and the committee. So they're moving on after that.
Yeah.
So it's
yes. My job could come available next week if his members carry on, mate. So
I can imagine a few phone calls. Can I get a tea time for the 29th at 9 o'clock, please?
You actually advertise them on your website, Gavin, don't you?
That's correct, Steve. Yeah. We do advertising for the posts. They go through all sorts of different media in the golf industry, golf business news. There's digital magazines, CMAE, they do advertising as well. Colt McKenzie McNair is a good place as well. So so it's there's quite a few jobs come available. It's one of the reasons I got back into club management. I was actually looking for a director of golf role, and within a year about 6 came up. So I thought, no, that's not gonna put food on the table. So
I think the big thing about that is the network side of things, Gavin, isn't it? If you're looking for a job, well, I think I've got a network of around 60 golf managers or golf pros and all the rest of it now, who've got a handle on what's available at various courses around them. No one's really working in isolation that's associated with the courses. The reason many of the people are on there is to be part of the bigger network.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gavin, who's your rival company? Who do you compete against in this? I mean, within the UK, I don't think but there is a European system or company that offer the same sort of thing.
There is. They are the Club Managers Association of Europe, CMAE. They are basically a franchise of CMAA, so that's the Club Managers Association of America. They have an education program. They have a diploma, but their diploma takes roughly 75 to 100 hours to complete. So again, it's an in-house diploma. It's not regulated. It's not accredited. So 75 to 100 hours. That's not a lot, to be honest. Craig's the diploma that Craig's doing with the off-qual accredited is 460 hours. So that just gives you an idea of what it is you're actually getting, and they're very expensive. It's a good course. I've done the course. I know I went on the residential courses. There were 2. I did one in Marbella and one in Celtic Manor. And within 4 months I had a diploma, which cost me about $4,000. So it was, a learning experience, I think. But they're very, very, very good course. They're very good weeks away. There's no question about that. You do learn a lot that, but it's just that sort of depth that you need. You're just not quite getting it, I don't think, to be able to do the role.
Craig, I thought it might be useful just quickly for 5 minutes maybe to just touch on your experience of those qualifications, how you found the study level and so on, and if there's anything you can kind of add for guys who are considering going to the diploma in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. As you know, Mark, I did the principles course first, and I really was putting the feelers out for how I cope with that from a personal perspective because of my condition. With COVID, it was all on Zoom. Actually, that was fine for me. It saved me going out to meet people because I didn't want to. So from a medical perspective, actually being locked down has been great. But by the way, the course content over the 4 to 5 days, I got to meet a chap called Lee, who also delivers the workshops for the diploma. And I met a bunch of delegates that I'm now doing a diploma with as well. So the principles course, it gave me a really good insight into what concerns people in the golf world. From a business consultancy perspective, where I was quite familiar with quite a lot of it as well, which was comforting for me. So the golf world's using recognised business practices. So there are really 2 things for me. There's a whole load of stuff about learning about golf and the golf business. And then it made me feel good because I could bring all my business skills you know, across into the golf world. I'm quite confident I could do that now, and I wasn't 6 months ago. And that's what the golf principle course gave me. So I know now that I could probably go and work in a golf club and be reasonably successful. Moving on to the diploma, it's then going into all the information that is missing from my life in terms of specifics around golf club management. So legislation and regulation, I couldn't have told you there was a difference before the diploma, for example. I know about that now. So I know about mandated things where Gav touched on before about protection from law. And I don't know all about them, but I know they're there much more than I would have done had I walked into a role. If I placed up at a golf club and said, I've done golf clubs, GCMA's principles of golf club management, some may have been impressed, employed me, and I really wouldn't have had too much in-depth knowledge. I would still have been potentially out of my depth. Now already, even though I've not completed the diploma yet, I've completed a lot, 6 out of 9 of the modules I think I've completed already from a workshop perspective. I now know the level of knowledge that I really require to be successful working in a golf club. And I don't think I have it yet, hence the reason the diploma is 3 years as well. I've given myself a target of having this diploma pretty much completed certainly by spring next year. I was hoping for the end of this year, but COVID's kind of knackered that. But that's just my personal target. 3 years for me works really well. What I had to do was plan out when I'm going to do my workshops against when I'm going to do my vocational work. And actually for me, that was easy because lockdowns dictated that we're all sitting at home. So I can do the educational stuff now with a view to backing that up and finishing all my workbooks on golf courses through the summertime, the autumn time, and into the winter of this year once COVID's gone. And that's really it, guys. So that's the difference. The principles course gave me an insight into what a diploma would be, gave me an insight into the challenges that golf is facing at the moment that I couldn't have without actually going on that course or working in a golf club. The diploma course gives me the knowledge that I can operate safely as a manager within the golf environment. I think that's the difference. Both of them, and this is absolutely key, especially if you want to roll in any walk of life, you need to know people. Both of those courses have given me a network of around 60, 70 people now that I wouldn't have had before. I think that's it. That's a 5-minute rundown for you, Mark. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Craig, that's a great little insight. I mean, the only other thing I would say, maybe without putting you on the spot, is there anything other than doing the principles course that you could suggest to the guys on here that would help prepare them for moving in this direction? And I am putting you on the spot, so I know it's perhaps a difficult one to answer.
Unless you could, it's almost like I've treated it like my apprenticeship, basically. The modules on the principles course, you can find them online, and you could do your own study if you wanted to, or if you had access to golf clubs now. You could go away and study stuff and say, well, this is clearly what GCMA think is important just now, so I better go and learn about it. So you could do that. I think the biggest value of the principal course for me is undoubtedly the network that I've built up. I've got a huge big stakeholder spreadsheet already of people that I'm going to pester when I want a job. And, go and play golf with over time and things like that. Yeah, that insight, you could go straight on the GCMA's website, look at their modules on there and research it yourself if you really wanted. You could do that.
Yeah.
I quite like the way I've done it, actually. I had a look in and thought, yeah, that's all right. The courses were delivered professionally. There's no way I would have signed up for the diploma if the courses had been delivered half-arsed, quite frankly. It was really professional. The guy that delivers the courses is the guy that's on the diploma as well, so you get familiar with his style. He tells you things that are black and white that you need to deliver back to the assessors, and he tells you quite clearly the stuff you've got to go and research for yourself in the diploma. So I think that's one of the really good things about the way the course is delivered. It's you're put in no uncertain, and you're not uncertain at all about what's required of you at the end of every daily workshop. That's the important thing of the workshops, definitely, Gavin. As I know what I need to go and do now myself. You get spoon-fed a whole load of facts, especially when things where there's law involved and things like that. You absolutely must know about this and deliver correctly. When you're doing things like business development, that's a bit more woolly. So you have to go and research good ways of developing a business and things like that. And I like that. The workshop's quite clear. It starts off, goes, right, here's the facts that you need for your workshop. And here's the stuff you need to go and learn and then get back. And it's reasonably informal, Gav would say as well. You don't have to submit everything straight away. You can get in touch with the guys. And it's often the criticism of diploma and degree courses that you can't get in touch with tutors and things like this. This one, you just email Lee. He points you in the right direction. I've done it right at the start, actually. I completed the educational part of a module, and Lee pointed out that there was a lot of stuff I was reflecting on where it was just asking for facts, so just put facts in. So I didn't have to submit that. I went through Lee informally and said, I think this is a good answer. What do you think? He went, some of it is, mate, and some of it just do as you're told in the question. And it was a great pointer early doors. Just keeps it simple, nice, and it's a nice, relaxed way of doing things,
Yeah, Lee's very good. Lee's excellent. So I think Lee delivers 8 of the modules, and then ourselves and the PGA and BIGA do the golf operations module. So if, for example, you had a query on a governance activity, for example, that would likely come to me. So I hopefully I'll be able to help anybody out with that one if ever you need it, Craig.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think from my point of view, doing the principles course, I've played golf for a while. I understand golf, and I think I understand what the whole golf package comes with. And I think the principle course gives you a really good base knowledge of the whole scope of the golf operations. There was some things in there that I thought, oh, geez, I didn't even think of that. But it does give you a good start. So I think if you've got an interest in golf and you play golf and you understand the basics of golf, I think the principal course is it's a very good introduction into then going on to the diploma. And I think, Craig, you're slightly a different individual because you're coming at it from a business perspective, which from my perspective, coming as a golf perspective, I would say that you've got the upper hand on me, because it is a business and you've got to be business savvy rather than golf savvy. So,
Steve, that's a great point.
I'm not sure, Gavin, if you agree, but you're probably finding more and more business acute people are coming into golf management than rather just, I like golf.
We welcome them from anywhere, from any walk of life, Steve. There's certainly that. The most traditional route is professional golfers who have outgrown the role, so to speak, and they get into the administration side, that perhaps run their own retail business, and find that interesting and don't really want to be standing on the range giving lessons into their 50s and 60s. So they decide to get into the golf club management. Food and beverage, hospitality sector as well. We're getting quite a few people coming into club management from there. Where we're generally less people go into club management is from the greenkeeping side, from course managers. There's a few, but not that many. Would certainly like to get more of them. We actually really welcome people from outside the industry, because it gives us more perspective, different perspectives on the job and on how to do it better. And I think anybody or everybody in the golf club management industry benefits from different perspectives, more diversity, different ideas, and because within golf we can become a little bit myopic, a little bit sort of blinkers in our thinking. So that's absolutely welcome. So even Craig will happily accept.
Steve, one of the things you just touched on there, though, about me coming from business, is what I've had, and also through the GCMA lecture that I sat in on one time, Gavin, with you, has given me a massive insight into how golf people are thinking. And that was, I had to proper sit back and listen to what people were thinking, because I thought that's quite alien to how I'd work, or it's because we've been faced with challenges that I've not been faced with. So I've not come from the leisure industry. I've fixed broken businesses in the past, brackets any, where the people involved in golf are they're just focused on golf quite obviously. But the only way I can be successful is to understand, what makes people stay awake at night. And this is one of the best insights I've had from being part of this, is listen to everyone else in the community, all the delegates on the courses, but also getting to sit on the GCMA. What was it, 1 or 2 hours you sit, once a week or something like that, Gav, where you have different subjects on. And
yeah, we do webinars for members meetings. We get some of the important figures from the world of golf to present to us. Last week we had Jim Croxton, who's the CEO of Bigga, and he was really just giving us his insights on to how to reopen golf clubs again, and specifically golf courses, on the 29th of March. And really managing the expectations of the members is a key issue, and regulating play because of the actual conditions of golf courses at the moment. We're still in March. There's as soon as a month ago, there was still snow on the ground, so the courses haven't been cut. A lot of staff on furlough. A lot of golf courses, as I said, down to 2 or 3 greenkeepers. So managing expectations is key. So that's an example of we've had Jeremy Tomlinson, the CEO of England Golf, talk to our members about the Independent Golfer Initiative, World Handicapping System. So and next week we have Danielle Brown, who's a 2-time Paralympic athlete, 2-time winner of the gold medal, and she's going to give us a presentation on breaking down barriers and the difficulties that she had, to be able to achieve what she achieved. And I think she was the first Paralympian to compete with able-bodied athletes. So absolutely, and that's we do that to try and inspire our members, to try and make them think a little bit differently, think outside the box, and find the best version of themselves. So that's the sort of thing we do, and we're happy with the direction that we're going in with our members. So it's and getting some very good feedback on that.
Gavin, Craig, I think that's been a really good hour or so going through what GCMA deliver, and your experiences, Craig. So firstly, on behalf of everybody, thank you for that. One thing just to add for everybody is, not as a prerequisite, but if you wished to visit a club and spend some time with a secretary or a manager for a day or whatever as an insight, then that's something we've done for people in the past, like we do for greenkeeping and other roles. So we do that either by linking in with Gavin, if necessary, or speaking to clubs where we've got a relationship with. Which leads me nicely on to introducing the gentleman in the middle of my screen, Martin Robinson, secretary at Fairhaven, who for a number of years has been a supporter of OCF. Martin is going to talk to us about his role as a secretary, the challenges he faces, what he loves about his job and doesn't love about his job, and some of the challenges that he faces in golf at the moment. Before we do that, Martin, we just take a couple of minutes, quick comfort break, so everybody can recharge glasses or whatever.
Yep, no problem.
Gavin, are you staying on, or?
I think I will if Martin doesn't mind.
Yeah, Martin used to be. I don't know if he's.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem.
I know Martin. I met Martin a few years ago when he was a member of the Young Managers GCMA. I don't know if you still qualify, Martin. Do you?
No, the age bracket kept going up as my birthdays were coming round, and then they put a cap on it. I'm just past that now.
we actually got lobby.
We'll give it a couple of minutes, Martin, and then we'll get going.
Yeah, sure.
We actually got lobbied, Martin. So there's no longer an age limit and we've changed the name from Young Managers
right,
Group
okay.
to Future Leaders Group. So you're welcome back in.
Thank you. I might just join back in.
How are things?
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's been a strange year. Looking forward to getting back now and seeing some bodies on the golf course and getting back to the normal operations of a golf club. Yeah, it's been a bizarre time.
Yeah, you've got demand through the roof. I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's been just had a wander around the course today with our course manager. Yeah, I mean, nothing stops us as you know, with members. They all seem to think it's still open and they still ask the same questions, no matter how many times you try and answer. But yeah, it's been weird working at home, trying to manage childcare as well as manage the other half and manage a golf club.
Yeah, I think in many ways, good to get back into the office again and get things back to normal as much as possible. I think everybody sort of needs that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to nip out.
It'd be nice.
Yeah, I'm going to nip out for see if I get a cup of tea.
Yep.
What have you found as the main thing then so far about like opening with this date being like the end of the month for golf clubs in England opening? Has it been a case of people just phoning up all the time saying, "No, you open now, can we come and use ranges and all the rest of it beforehand?" Or is it literally, you've got to stick to the sort of and tell people? Because I know the members in Oxford went up on the course last lockdown and were playing sort of 3 or 4 holes and taking the dog with them. And it was like, oh, well, I'm, walking the dog and stuff. And then clubs had a few issues with the local council and stuff.
Yeah, I shut our course completely to everybody.
So I'm guessing you didn't leave school and go straight to manage Fairhaven Golf Club. So I think that would be just quite useful.
Yep, sure. So I left school in 1997. Quite a good golfer, playing off 5 handicap. Keen on golf, just no idea what I would like to do in life. Started and enrolled at Nelson and Colne College on a graphic design course, just thinking I was pretty artistic, quite enjoyed that side of it. I got into that for a week and were not happy at all. And in the days of teletext, my mother saw an advert for ASQ College on teletext for a golf management course. The first time the college had ever done that course. Applied for it, went for the interview, and it was pretty much, do you play golf? Yes. Right, you've got a place. You're quite local to us. It's a brand new course. So I did that for 2 years, achieved the National Diploma in Golf Studies at the time, then had the option to do the HND and the degree after that. I wasn't really, I quite enjoyed the working world. A lot of friends of mine worked for Silent Night and Rolls-Royce engineers straight from school. They were working, they had a lot of money, they were enjoying themselves. I thought, I need that as well. So I need a blend of both. A job came up for an assistant professional at a local course near me in the Pennines called Marsden Park. So I applied for that, was successful in getting that. There was a head professional there at the time. My thinking was, I think I was down to maybe to 2 handicap by that time, or 1. I thought, I'm going to try and be a professional golfer. Let's give that a go and try and earn some money at the same time by working in a pro shop. 6 months later, the general manager left to go on to other things. The head professional retired. It was owned by the local council at the time. And they just asked the question, would you like to be the general manager? We'll give you 6 months, you recruit a new professional, and let's see how it goes. 10 years later, I'm still in the same position. getting a little bit older now, wanted to spread my wings. It was a great time to learn my trade, I suppose, in terms of everything that I did. And during that time, and I think this would really help in anybody looking to get into the industry, during the winter months when the days were shorter, there's a little less going on, I started to do extra courses in my own time in the evenings at university and college. So, for example, I did a 6 months, 1 day a week web design course, which helped me along in my career massively, because usually you get a job at a golf club, the website's a little out of date, it doesn't look modern. So that helped me along with my career quite a bit. For my sins, and I have no idea to this day why I did it, I became a police special for a year. Just decided to enroll in the October and do that in my spare time. To be honest, I think that did help with the people management skills, which I'll go on to a bit later. So 10 years into that, I was approached by somebody I knew up in Cumbria, who approached me about being the general manager at Kirby Lonsdale Golf Club. It was a club at the time that was struggling financially. They didn't really have much direction, never had a manager before. I got to know quite a few people in the industry, and I noticed Gavin talking about networking, and also Craige. It's a massive thing in the golf industry. Although there are 1,800 or so golf clubs, networking is a huge thing. And I've made it my quest in life to network with as many people as possible, whether it be golf club managers, members, anybody in the golf industry, commercial or otherwise, private clubs. It's a real key factor in progressing in the golf industry, I think. So my qualifications stopped with the National Diploma in Golf, and I've just got small qualifications in things that I thought were relevant to golf clubs. So during the first 10 years, I did an advanced apprenticeship in business and finance, which has paid dividends along the way. So I moved up to Kirby Lonsdale, turned their club around in a couple of years, restructured quite a few areas, promoted green fees, that kind of thing. Worked with local hotels to bring in revenue, almost like a commercial manager type role. Whilst doing that role, my partner at the time was offered a job with Bupa down in London. So we decided to move down there, and I looked around, and there's a club called Caversham Heath in Reading, looking for a general manager. Never had one before. It's owned by a local family down there who own a huge estate of about 2,000 acres, which includes a golf course. No direction really, just almost like they set up the golf club about 20 years ago, and it was just something to do. He was a keen golfer, but now it needed some strategic management in place. So I went there, increased their membership by 80 people in 9 months. Whilst I was working there, enjoying it thoroughly, I was approached by Ping Europe. They were looking for a general manager for their golf facility in Gainsborough. Was successful in getting that role, so I moved much more into the commercial world of golf club management. I was there for 2 years, and each of these golf clubs that I moved into, we had a public, a council-owned golf course, we had a members club, we had a family-owned club, and then we had a commercial venture like Ping Europe. And in all of these types of clubs, I gained so much knowledge in so many different things. So, for example, the Ping Europe are responsible for over 60 employees, which brought with it, I would say, I think for the first 3 months, I was almost a HR manager, dealing with issues that had bubbled along for the last 20 years. And you tend to find that kind of thing happens in golf clubs. And then using Ping as my backstop, working with their marketing director, that improved my knowledge in those areas. Their finance director, which massively improved my skills in finance. And after that, for personal reasons, due to mother being ill at the time, they live near Skipton, looked to move back over to the northwest, and then Fairhaven came up. Was successful in applying for this role, which is a totally different animal really to the rest of the places I worked at. This is purely a private members-owned club in the top 100 in England with 900 members. So I went from having one boss at Ping to having 900 bosses at Fairhaven, which is quite a strange move, quite a strange thing to deal with. So I've been at Fairhaven now 5 years on the 1st of March. It's not common knowledge yet, but I will be leaving on the 24th of May. There'll be an announcement soon. I'm moving to work for American Golf as one of their sales managers, national. They're looking to create family golf hubs around the country. I think they have 2, 3 or 4 at the moment, the most recent being Rosendale driving range, where they've invested there, which is due to open, which is more or less a driving range, a shop, a restaurant stroke cafe, adventure golf, and a 9-hole academy course or golf course if possible. So they're looking to expand that arm of the business, and I'll be heading that up for them come May. So I'm aware that they also have an affiliation with On Course. So no doubt our paths will cross, Mark, at some point again in the future in a different line.
They most definitely will. You said that.
So yeah, looking forward. Yeah. So looking forward to that massively, and getting back into the commercial world is probably where I sit in terms of what I enjoy about the golf industry. I wouldn't mind just going into elements of my day-to-day role, if that's all right, Mark.
Yeah, I think it would be good to know some. What I was going to say, what a typical day looks like, but I guess they differ in your role and what a typical week looks like.
Yeah, I mean, a typical day, so I'm driving into the office. A typical day would be, I have planned a meeting with a head of course manager at 9 o'clock. We might walk the course for an hour, look at elements of work that he's been carrying out and what the plan is. I'll meet with the golf operations manager to look at what's happened the week before, what's to come the week ahead. Most probably talk to our treasurer about the finances, maybe look at the budget, where we are up to, forecast moving forward. That's what I think may happen, but pretty much every day you arrive in the office and something's gone wrong or something's happened you've got to deal with. So task management is a massive part of my role. Things back up all the time. Member inquiries are coming in daily. There might be an issue with employees. There might be an issue out on the golf course. So I think a typical day, people have asked me this for years, and friends of mine who aren't in the golf industry say, what do you do? I've no idea. It's so different every single day. It's unbelievable. I can't remember the last day that went to plan, if I'm honest. So, for example, today we are in lockdown. I've walked the course with the course manager and our greens director. We've looked at security over in the greens compound. We've met a resident about some tree work on some tree preservation orders. I've met with our golf services manager. I've met with our head professional, and I'm now here with you guys, which, although isn't a usual day, I'm usually on a Zoom meeting now or a Teams meeting with somebody somewhere. I've got 96 emails in my inbox, which I have no idea what they are at the moment, which I'm guessing are members' inquiries about playing golf on the 29th and thereafter, what facilities are available, contracts that might be coming up for renewal. You almost need to be know a lot about everything, but you're not an expert in anything, if that makes sense. It's a very strange thing. I will one day write a book, The Day in Life as a General Manager, because you have everything from trying to play in the club championship, which I play in every year, coming off the 9th green, and a lady member saying, "Excuse me, but the toilet roll's run out in the ladies' toilets. Can you sort it out, please?" I said, "Well, I can, but I'm 300 at the moment. Let's let me get round the back 9. So yeah, it is a very bizarre role, and I think that to be successful, you've got to be good with people and very good with task management. That's what I would say. It is so different every day. It is, and I think that's what I like about it. It's not mundane. It's not the same old thing on a Monday. It's not the same thing every day. It's very, very broad. and you've got that flexibility to get to know the members. I'll more than often than not, I'll go and sit with some members and have a coffee and some lunch. I play golf every other week. I put my name in. The policy for members are just please add your name in. So I get to play with the ladies, the seniors, the good players, the new members. Some directors may want to join. So it is very, very different in terms of what I do. There were many challenges. 900 members, 900 voices, 900 different ideas. You know, we have a board of directors who are voluntary. There's 12 of those. 6 of those want to do a certain thing and the other 6 want to do something different. It's my job to try and explain to them the best thing to do for the membership as a whole. And it's very much personal opinionated, especially private members clubs. Everybody wants something different because they all play golf at a different time, at a different day. Yeah, they're very strange places. Mr. Smith, he'll play golf on a Monday at 9:08. He'll have a chip sandwich at 12:07 in the clubhouse, and he'll read the paper for 45 minutes, have a coffee, then he'll come and knock on my door and whinge about something. It's pretty much, a lot of people are like clockwork. So the challenges are to keep a cool head, I think, have a thick skin, and be confident in your decision making, because they're employing you as the expert, and you've got to have confidence that what you're telling or proposing the board or the committee or the council and the members is the right thing to do. Otherwise, you probably will not enjoy doing the job that you do, because you'll be doing things that aren't correct, you know. The best bits, really, I just see golf clubs as it's everybody's social time. They should be here to enjoy themselves. They're not at work. There's nothing to worry about. I just like to see people having a great time and it's quite easy to sit in meetings all day and hide away in the office, but getting out and meeting members and visitors, asking how the day has been, have they enjoyed themselves, is such a real pleasure, really. Especially being a real keen golfer myself. Just walking around the corner at 8 AM, smelling the grass that's being cut, seeing members teeing off in the sun's rising up with a coffee in your hand and everybody's having a good time is a real nice thing to see. Yeah, it's just a great place to work. I'm saying that, but I'm moving on, but for bigger and better things, hopefully.
Well, I think what you've said there, Martin, about every day being different, I think that's why it can appeal to military people as well. Because the one thing that I think probably everybody on here would hate in service was every day being the same, and wanting to do something, that's a bit challenging, you know, and a bit new all the time. And I think that's why it can potentially appeal to the military service leaver. You've obviously seen a number of things over a period of years working in the industry. Going forward, given that everybody on the call is going to be new to management, if they go into management, where do you sort of see the challenges and things going forward?
I think for the golf industry, especially clubs, private members clubs, they need to rapidly modernise in a way. The way the game is played, who plays the game, who has access to the course, that kind of thing. The main reason I'm moving on really is the concept that American Golf have, where they see golf modernise in a way that these family hubs will be the centre where the kids can play, the kids can learn, the parents can learn, they can all play together. They can eat, they can drink, they can buy what they need there. But those hubs are a feeder for all the local clubs in that area. And I really like the idea of, although the clubs can offer a certain level of this that American Golf may be able to offer, I think the new family hubs are the way forward, really. The R&A are doing the same thing in Glasgow with the course there. They're creating what I call a family hub, and hopefully that is their blueprint, as it is with American Golf, to modernise and make the game more exclusive. Included in that is the independent golfer scheme, where you don't need to be a member of a club to gain a handicap. It's quite a contentious talking point amongst managers in the country, but I think it is probably the best for the future of the game to modernise in a way that the R&A would like the game to go. And I think the challenges are if you become employed by quite a traditional, older thinking club, the challenges will be to change their mindset. Where Fairhaven have actually embraced that since I've come. That has been my quest here. I remember coming for the interview, walked in the clubhouse, it had quite a strange smell. The carpet was brown, the walls were brown, and the seats were brown. It's quite dark and dingy. I thought, wow, the golf course looks great, but this is weird. There was nobody in the clubhouse at all. In the past 2 years, we've invested £1.65 million, modernising the front of house areas of the club to turn it into a family type hub with flexible function spaces. Like everything, 450 members love it, 450 hate it, but it's generating, or it was generating, a huge amount of income, which can all now get reinvested on the golf course. And most of our members now love what we've done. We're incorporating ladies into men's comps, which is a very strange concept for a traditional golf club. I think that's the biggest challenge moving forward, is trying to modernise golf clubs that don't want to change because it's always been that way and it's worked. But I think they're going to get left behind if they're not careful in the next 5 years. I really do.
Guys, if anybody's got any questions for Martin, floor's open. Just chip in.
I think American Golf have got a good concept there. Really good concept. You know, the fact getting the families involved, getting kids involved from an early age, and turning it into a day's activity, and not, you know, you speak to a lot of people who don't play golf, and they'll tell you it's 4 hours wasted walking around a green field, but you make it fun. Yep. I've seen, I mean, there are places in the UK. There's a place at Loughborough, and they've got the Sky Track driving range that you can actually play around the golf on, and they've got next to it is a bar, so you can actually sit while your mate's hitting his golf, having a beer and having a burger, and play around the golf on a driving range. And the concept, I think, is brilliant. So I think American Golf are hitting on something there, really big.
Yeah, just to build on the Rosendale one, because obviously I live in Rosendale, so obviously it's okay. He's Scott, the one who's the manager of it. Obviously, American Golf have taken over it, and I think it's a brilliant idea because when, say, if it's me and my son just want to go out and go for the range for an hour, my wife's like, "Well, what am I meant to do?" You know, so her and my daughter will just sit there watching me and him just smack a few balls, and they won't have anything to do. So I think it's a great idea that obviously they're doing like a little restaurant for them, and you know, for them to go and sit in, or if they wanted to do something else. So if it's looking like it rolling around the country, I think it'd be a good idea.
Yeah, I think it worked really well. I've had an idea of setting up a consultancy business for years. This is a 22nd year I've done this job all across the UK. And this is definitely the way that golf is going. And I think we have a similar sort of setup in Burnley called the Prairie. I'm trying to get a membership at Townley. Right, all right, okay. Yeah. My friend Wes Kellows, he manages Townley and the Prairie. It's all incorporated into one. And me and my friends go 3 times a week. My wife will come with the kids. And it's great because she doesn't mind sitting and having a coffee while they have a sandwich and I hit some balls. It's really, really good. And there's a little crazy golf at the side, so we all have a go on that. And I'll probably go and play football straight after on their pitches. But yeah, it's a really good setup.
Yeah.
Is it a similar thing to the top golfs around the country they're going to do, is it? Because I'm amazed there's not more of them, to be fair.
Yeah, I think it's they put Top Tracer in all their ranges. I don't think they're planning on doing anything in the outfield like Top Golf do, but it's quite a similar setup to them. I suppose it's little mini versions of that where I think Top Tracer go all out, don't they, and make a huge setup. I know American Golf have Trafford and New Malden driving ranges, which probably would benefit from the Top Golf scenario, but as I said, I haven't started with them, so I'm not really sure of the details of what they're planning for those 2 venues.
The place for the traditional clubs is always going to be there, though, isn't it? It's not. That's not change hugely, is it?
Yeah, there'll always be the tradition. I think the traditional clubs will always do quite well. There's certain elk of golf are like that type of thing. All the clubs that are like the public clubs, play clubs, they're always looking for members, and I think these little hubs will enable them to. They'll benefit and they'll support the family centres. But yeah, I think the traditional clubs will be fine. All of those that obviously modernise with the game itself, they don't really want to stay as they are. They need to kind of follow the trends of the game, which I know quite a few that aren't, and they're struggling at the moment. They need to modernise a little bit in how they treat the members, how they're inclusive in the clubhouses, that kind of thing.
So just one for Gavin. Gavin, do you roughly know how many clubs have shut down over the past 2 years, or do you have figures at all?
Not off the top of my head, Steve. I know it's a fairly common occurrence, probably 2 or 3 a week. I think you've got to look at there is certainly a case of perhaps oversupply of golf courses. The RNA released a report back in, I think it was about 86, talking about the need for more golf courses. We had huge demand for golf thanks to Ballesteros and the Ryder Cup success. There's great growth in the game at that time. Built an awful lot of golf courses in the 90s and 2000s, and perhaps reached a point where we had too many courses. There's countries out there who would kill for that problem of too much infrastructure. And I think, as an industry, we need to sort of take the approach as well of trying to fill that by creating new golfers and more golfers. I think that's maybe a slightly more positive way of looking at it. But those golf courses are there, and they are changing I think municipal courses as well are under a lot of threat. I think the county councils are, they're struggling to look after courses. They're making a loss. They're not managing them well. They're not running them well. So there's that, and obviously the pressure for housing. And there's an awful lot of need for housing in the country at the moment. And the environmental side, rewilding of areas as well. Golf courses sometimes get selected for that. So it's there's a lot of pressure on golf courses. No question about that.
Martin, there's a lot of talk at the moment as well about memberships, different membership schemes, and what works for one obviously doesn't work for everybody, and seniors paying less than somebody like myself because I don't quite qualify for senior membership yet.
What?
But things like seniors paying less for membership but getting probably the most access to the golf course of any members, and whether that's fair and just, and obviously as well with younger adult members paying less as well until they get to a certain age. What's kind of your take on what works well membership wise?
I think the membership setup at Fairhaven is ideal for most clubs. I think I always worry when I see a golf club who have recently had a 7-day membership or nothing end up coming out with 25 different categories. I always worry when I see that come out, and I just think, oh dear, they must be struggling, because what they're trying to do is get the revenue in and end up having too many members. There's no time on the tee sheet. The 7-day members can't play in the comps. There's a huge waiting list. We're quite strict here at Fairhaven. I quite like the way that it works. We are lucky in the fact that we have a lot of golfers around here, but whether you're a female golfer, a male golfer, or a senior golfer, you all want to play quite a bit. Everybody's an active golfer nowadays. I think somebody that joins a golf club joins for the whole package, so the social side, the clubhouse, playing golf on a regular basis, where 20 years ago when I first started, we might have 900 members, but you'd only see 300 of those on a regular basis. And every time I interview somebody, I say, how often do you think you'll play? Oh, every day if I can, every day. And I think that's where the game is modernising. It's turning more into, there's a drive on exercise, that kind of thing. So, and you're right, the days where seniors paid less, and I think they still do in many clubs, is almost backwards because they have the time to play 7 days a week, where the working person, family working man or lady, they're struggling midweek and they might just get a quick 9 holes on a Friday night and then play in the comp on a Saturday, and that's their golfing life. So I think having too many categories is the wrong way to go. I think you need to be quite strict and ensure the quality that you're offering is at the right level to charge what you are charging. We do have an intermediate membership here ranging from the ages of 19 to 29, but they are limited in what they can do. They don't have access to competitions quite as quick as our 7-day members. They're restricted on certain days and they can't play in certain competitions, but they do pay quite a reduced fee. And I think if you are going to offer cheaper memberships, I mean, it would be unfair for an 18-year-old to go from paying £150 to 1,500, and we get that, and I understand that, because that's the time in their life where they're paying out education fees. Then they may start a young family, and possibly by the age of 30, they've kind of getting to the end of that and maybe getting more career focused and have a bit more time for golf. I just think they need to be limited, and it should be a fair process between all of the categories. So we do limit what we have here, and I think other clubs should do the same, and that should be the way to offer a very good quality products and service and full experience than trying to get 50 different types of membership category. I think it would cause issues on a daily basis in terms of availability of tee times, what people can and can't do, that kind of thing.
Yeah, Mark, so when I first started at Barnum Broom, we had about 12 or 13 different membership categories from different ages to off-peak. Now we have so we don't have a senior category. We have 7-day, 5-day. You get 5-year loyalty discount to 5% and a 10-year loyalty discount. Yeah. But that will be for any age you can get that. So you could be a 22-year-old that's been there 5 years, but you'll get your 5% discount. And we stopped our ages now. We used to have different age brackets, 19, 22, 22. But our only young adult category, you got up to 23 now. After that, you're classed as an adult. I think that's our general manager looking at. He was a general manager of golf club at 27, so he don't agree at 29 you're still a child. But I get it because we joined the army at 17. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But by the time our members are 27, they're not far away from the full fee, to be honest. It's just very tiny little increments up. I think the simpler the membership category structure, the better, really, for the club. Yeah.
I think a lot of clubs now do they do credits, so you can pay £200 up front, and depending on when you play the course depends on how many credits that uses up, and then you can top the credits up again. Which
well, we're signed up to. There's a company called Play More Golf.
Yeah,
who are really good, and they manage all the members. We just get a rate, and they just get tokens. Basically, we had a local club that opened up near us called Royal Norwich, brand new, and they just sold points after points to all, and no one can get tee times. They're just corporates are booking tee times every day. No one's turning up, and they're all leaving. They're all coming back.
The trouble with the point system is, as you said, Del, is because is that booking system like that, because we've got a similar thing up at Hinksey. But only what we do up there is we give people the 18 months in which to use their points.
Yeah.
But it is actually booked solely through the club. So they're trying not to do the sort of the golf now thing for that very reason that you've said there, that you can just get people booking. So they do release some, but it'll be like 8 slots in a day that'll be released to to play more golf, because they have to do that because it's this competitive market in which you're in, you know.
To be fair, play more golf for brilliant. They try and do some sly deals without you knowing. Like reduced points for certain rounds, but you can soon put a stop to all that, and they're really good to manage, to be fair.
Gavin, there was a question came up from Dan there on chat about opportunities for on-the-job training or apprenticeships in golf management or operations. I think Dan he had to take a call, so he missed the back end of the session earlier when I mentioned about us being able to assist with insight visits. Is there anything else that you're aware of? Anything else that you support at the GCMA on that front?
Yeah, Kickstart scheme. That's just sort of come through the pandemic. We work with a company called LSS. They acted as a gateway. I think originally the scheme would only accept companies who were applying for up to 30 apprenticeships. So for a single golf club, that was going to be difficult. So we had to look for a provider who would sort of collate all the golf clubs and put them together to get those apprenticeships and do all the administration side. But I think golf clubs can do it individually now. But I think even that burden of administration, it's a good idea to go through them. So that's LSS is the name of the company that do all the administration side and the training of that, the actual golf specific on course training. Apart from being done at the golf club, at the site itself, is done by a company called Promote Training, who are, they're fairly well known within the golf industry for running online courses, and they're very good. So we endorse that. If that's what people are looking for.
Okay. Well, I think given the time, Gavin, once again, thank you very much for your time this morning. Been really informative session. Craig, thanks for your input from a student who's at your age, from a student perspective, and Martin for your insights in your career and what it's like working as a club manager.
You're welcome.
And yeah, Martin, obviously we wish you all the best in your move to American golf. We'll definitely speak. And what date did
thank you.
What date did you finish?
25th of May I start.
All right.
24th of May I finish here.
I'm going to get something in the diary to get up there before you go.
Yeah, no worries.
For a tea cake. Yeah. Fairhaven do some amazing tea cakes if you're ever up that way.
You can buy me one when you come up.
So yeah, thanks, Guy. And from all the OCF members on board today, hopefully everyone's found that useful. Speak to us afterwards. We can put you in touch with any other speakers as well if necessary. Like I say, if anything pops up afterwards that you've forgotten about, and if you want any other further advice, guidance, moving into this role, then you know where we are.
Thanks, boys. It's good to see
Thank
you.
you all. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye now.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.